Hey everybody, it's Innovision! The Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered Edition dropped today. Not only was it one of the worst kept secrets in recent gaming history, it's one of the things I'm most excited about. This is possibly my favorite game in the whole Elder Scrolls series. And in today's episode, we're going to go over the best settings we've found for the Legion Go so far for our day one launch. Before we get started, a couple of public service announcements. So I know several folks in the community are itching for our full install guide of SteamOS on our beloved Legion Go. I promise it's coming. I'm still working on the editing. These videos are typically more challenging to make because not only do I work full time, but I don't want to leave any of the details out. I want to make sure that folks who are following along at home have everything they need to get started. And it's coming along very nicely. I hope to have it ready by the end of this week. Alright, another very important public service announcement here. The remastered version of Oblivion is included in your Game Pass subscription. In case folks were unaware of this, Bethesda was acquired by Microsoft, and so it's a first-party title. That means that this game will always be available as long as you have a Game Pass subscription. And the only thing missing from the Game Pass version of the game is the additional DLC. And so if you're on the fence about whether or not you should get the game, or you already have a Game Pass subscription, I'd highly recommend just using the one that comes with your subscription. The game is beautiful. I think calling it a remaster is... I feel like it's kind of lossy. It feels like a full all-out remake when you compare graphics like side by side with the original release to this version of the game. And there's been several quality of life improvements that we'll all see like as time goes on. Another important public service announcement here. Nintendo Switch 2 goes up for pre-order later this week at midnight Eastern Time on Thursday. So make sure you don't miss it. Let's be kind to one another. Only buy one if you're in the market for it, because I know I want one. Now I'm curious, as you all watch this video, what character class are you guys playing as? And what race are you playing as? So I play as a Breton that's a warrior. I try to go for like what's right out of the box, kind of more balanced, because I don't have that much time to play. And so I want to be able to just kind of pick it up and put it down whenever I have time. And I typically focus on like physical damage and magic immunity, but not necessarily casting spells. And I do like to have armor proficiency and proficiency with a sword and kind of close range combat. But I do have some projectiles. Anyways, I'm just curious what everybody else is going to be playing as, because I have a feeling we're going to be playing this for quite some time. I know I'm not going to be getting any sleep this week. And on top of that, I think this is the timing of the launch of this game is the worst possible timing for all the other games that are launching at this time. I feel really bad for them. So the first thing we're about to hit on here are Legion Go specific settings. These are the settings you're going to want to set up your Legion Go in the Legion Space app, and these are device specific. And then once we get the Legion Go set up correctly, we're going to go over our in-game settings. And a lot of these in-game settings will actually translate quite well to other Z1 Extreme-based gaming handhelds, even the Steam Deck. As time goes on, we'll put together some more settings videos. And, keep in mind, this is a day one launch. We've had a few hours to tinker with the settings here. As time goes on and we've played the game more, we're going to come up with even better settings. And what I'm optimizing here is between visual fidelity and frame rate, where frame rate is more important to me. So in the future, if folks are more interested in the most beautiful gameplay experience at the sacrifice of frame rate, that's something I'd be willing to look at. But me personally, a showstopper is if I'm not hitting 60 frames per second, because I play on a high-end gaming PC most of the time, but when I'm around the house or traveling, I play on my handhelds. And it's important for me to have a smooth gameplay experience. I can play the more eye candy experience on my desktop gaming PC. But I have my handheld, so I'm not antisocial when I get to hang out with people still. Alright, so we're back. And I just want to call out here, we have a 4TB NVMe SSD installed, which is really nice. If you haven't seen our video for installing the adapter and getting that extra space, you definitely want to check it out. I don't have to worry about space. First thing we're going to want to do is open up the AMD Radeon software, or AMD software. And so we're going to go to Oblivion Remastered. So this is the most important part of this step here. We want to set scaling mode to center. This is basically centering it with the center of the display. And we want to use integer scaling. And that's because we're going to use the 1280 by 800 resolution. Make sure that AMD fluid motion frames is disabled because we're going to be using FSR3, which is something that's really cool that this game supports. And so now that we've got everything set up the way we want in the Radeon app, we're going to want to make some changes here on the Legion Space side. So I'm picking that 1280 by 800. Notice that sometimes when you change resolutions, it automatically wants to drop down to 60 frames per second. So just be cognizant of that. If it does, just go ahead and click 144 Hertz. And then the other thing is I'm setting our TDP settings to 20 watts. You can actually play with whatever settings you want. Typically, I actually use the balance mode because I just like the console to stay quiet and cool. But for the video, we're going to run with 20 watts. And feel free to use the performance settings or whatever you like here. So this all looks good. And now we're going to launch the game. And so we're not really going to be exploring TDP settings for this game in this video. Our focus really is just kind of some go-to settings to get the game running at 60 frames per second or better. So when you launch the game, you're going to get this warning that there's not enough video RAM, and that's because I have my UMA frame buffer size set to auto, which is totally fine. The driver will automatically figure out how much video RAM to use. You can try toggling it to 6 gigs like it's suggesting, but this game's big. It requires 16 gigs of RAM anyways. And so look, we got our anti-lag. No other AMD features are enabled here. And as I play the game more, I'll come up with some more refined settings. These are kind of like, I've only had like an hour to tinker with it. But these are the settings I've converged on so far. So we're going to go into options. We're going to the screen settings. And we'll see here, we want it to be full screen. And then 1280 by 800. And then going down to our texture quality. I'm using medium right now. I've tried low as well. Here come the more important settings. So make sure upscaling technique is FSR, and make sure that FSR3 mode is balanced and the frame generation is enabled. All right, so that all looks good. Let's go ahead and get into the game. There you have it. We provided you with the illest settings day one for your Legion Go while playing Oblivion Remastered Edition. Stick around for a few minutes of gameplay so you can see these awesome settings at work. I'm up way past my bedtime putting together this video for you. Show the love back, hit the like button, subscribe so you don't miss out on all the cool collectibles, gaming tips, and mods we've got coming down the pipeline.
When the shadows start creeping, streets whisper, ain't no safe sleeping. Eyes watch from the corners, they scheming. Gotta move quick, can't let them start feeding. Heart pounds every step, I'm misleading. Make calls from the alley, can't be seen. Hide in the black, can't let them intervene. Grip tight, every moan's echo up past deeds. Grit teeth, ain't no time for the weak.